Hi, you're watching the channel All Things Duct Tape, and this is Brenda. You may have seen this tissue holder, one very similar to it, before in a Sophie's World video. This was her idea, her creation, and I am redoing it for a couple of reasons. One is that Sophie has never contacted me back to tell me that I can use her videos in my Duct Tape Club. And two, there were a couple of ways that she did measurements and so forth that I felt would be a little confusing to my first time duct tapers. So I went ahead and made the specific measurements according to the kind of tissue that I'm using. So if you are going to follow my video, my tutorial rather than Sophie's, you are going to want to adjust your measurements if you're using the little tissue dispensers that you buy from somewhere else, not the dollar store. The ones at the dollar store are much thinner than the ones, and a little bit shorter than the ones that you can get other places like Walmart. So these are some of the tissue holders that I've made. I decided I'm going to use them as prizes in my prize box that I have in my class at school. But I also wanted to make this video so that the kids in my Duct Tape Club can make these if they would like to as well. You're going to need some packs of tissue from the dollar store, either if you can find them. Of course, it's a better deal to get 8 packs for $1, and if not, then 6 packs for $1. You need at least 2 colors of duct tape, a solid and a print. The print, it works best if it's a small repeating print. And then I'm also using color that I don't care about to do the inside. You need a ruler, an X-Acto blade of some kind, a pen, a scissors, a cutting mat, and an unopened roll of duct tape of the 20-yard kind, the solid that has 20 yards, or something that is a similar circumference for a circle for tracing. Cut 3 pieces of 9.5-inch tape in your solid color. Stack them to create a piece of duct tape fabric that is 9.5 by 4 3/4 inches wide. If it turned out uneven on the edge up here, go ahead and trim it so that it's straight across. Now flip it over, sticky side up, and set it aside for a moment. And cut 3 more pieces of tape for the inside. It can be the same color or some color that you're not crazy about. But this time you're only going to make them 9 inches long. Use these 3 pieces to cover the sticky side of your fabric, leaving 1/2 inch of sticky at one end. So line it up at one end, and then on the other end you'll have 1/2 inch of sticky left over. Then fold over the extra to make a nice clean edge with no stickiness showing there. Now we need to take the pattern tape and cut an 8-inch strip. If it isn't, most duct tape is not 2 inches tall. It's 1 7/8 or something like that. So if yours is a little smaller than 2 inches, as you do this, try to line it up between the 2 1-inch lines here as evenly as you can, with a little bit of space left on either side, but as even as you can get it. Now we're going to cut this in half using that 1-inch line right down the middle, and then peel up one of those pieces and fold it in half so that the two edges match up as close to perfectly as possible. And then set that aside. Now I need to cut this other half in half diagonally as well. Pick up one of the strips and move it a little bit away from the one that you did, the other one, and then but make sure it's lined up again on the ends at the 1-inch and the 8-inch. We're going to need 2 3-inch pieces. So, being careful not to cut through both sets, I'm going to cut 2 3-inch pieces and do it on the same strip. We're going to need this piece, one of these pieces, to be 4.5, so we might as well cut that right now. So 1 2 3 4.5. Again, make sure you only cut through the top piece that wasn't cut before. Now take your fabric again, and the edge, working with the end that has the folded over part, we want to fold up 3 inches. And so it's a good idea to just use your ruler and make a tiny little mark at the 3, and that will wipe right off when you're done using it. So use that to line up at the bottom, and make sure the edges line up too, and then press and crease the bottom where you folded it. Peel up one of those 3-inch pieces that you cut, and what we want to do is put it half on, half off, lined up from the bottom up to the top of the folded part. When you flip it over to fold this over, make sure now that the edge is still lined up. Sometimes it moves a little bit when you flip it over. Try to fold this as tightly as you can up against the cut edges. And then we'll do the other side, same way. Half on, half off, as close to that as you can get. And if you flip it over like this, and this is quite crooked, I would reposition it if I were you. And then fold that over as tightly as you can. Next, let me get this out of the way so I don't accidentally cut it. Next, we need to trim 1/4 of an inch off of this top piece that's going to be our flap that closes the tissue holder. So, to do that, I line up the edge on the 1/4 inch dot. Here's a 1-inch line, and right next to it is the 1/4 inch dot markings. I line the edge up on that, then I take my ruler and line that up on the line, and now I have a straight edge to cut on. Be very careful when you do this that you don't cut past the folded up part. And do the same thing on the other side. Use the 1-inch or the 1-inch line and the 1/4 inch dots to line up your tissue holder, and then put the ruler on the 1-inch line so that you get a perfectly straight 1/4 inch piece cut out. Now you need your unopened duct tape. Line it up so that the top of the curve is fairly close, but not you need to leave enough room so that you can trace the line around here. And then we want these two sides to be as close to the edge as they can be on either side. So just kind of eyeball it, move it over until it looks like it's the same distance on either side. trace it like that to make a semicircle. Trim this off and try to trim off all of the pen by cutting just inside the pen mark. And if there's any pen left, be sure to use a tissue or something to wipe off. I've found from personal experience that it wipes off later and gets all over your project, and then you have little marks all over the place. Now you need to put your tissue in. It should slide in there pretty carefully. It's a little snug, but that's all right. So the tissue's in there, and we want to actually push it down a little further down past the top. And then what we're going to do, turn the tissue holder upside down, and we're going to pinch these little ends here to make what look kind of like cat ears. And now don't get carried away. We don't want a great big amount like that, because that would make a much too wide. It would make your holder too wide and then not long enough to hold the tissue. So you want to be careful that you don't make that too terribly exaggerated there. It's just a little kitten's ear. And then you're going to take that 4.5 inch piece that you had cut of the pattern and match it up. Go over the edge just a little bit. And then just make sure this is all pressed down. Okay, we're almost done. The last step is to take back this strip that we made, this folded over strip, and make sure that the folded part, that makes the clean edge that has no sticky, is up, facing up. Lay it on your tissue holder and try to eyeball it so that you've got about the same amount sticking out over each edge, and that it looks fairly straight all the way across here. And I like to, I just kind of eyeball it, but I guess what it is actually is about a 1/2 inch down, if you really want to measure. Then we're going to take this really small piece that's left down here and make sure this is as straight as you can get it, and then lie this piece down all the way like that to hold it nice and straight. Flip it over, peel up this remaining strip that is about 3.5 inches long, and actually I should have trimmed this right here. I didn't notice that there was so much sticky still showing, which looks kind of bad, so I'm going to trim that off right now before I finish this up. Okay. Alright. And again, just kind of eyeballing it so it looks like these are pretty much going to meet. They would meet if they would continue across. You want to put about 1 inch over on one side with the sticky, and then it'll end up being about 1 inch over on the other side, and try to line it up so you can barely see that there's a seam there. Come back over on the front and peel off that little piece of sticky, and you are done. If you'd like to do some more decorating, you sure can. You can add some more of this pattern if you want to on there, or some other pattern of duct tape. But basically, that's it. Right. Thanks for watching.